Alright guys, it's time for another poor quality review. This is a freestyling review, and if I get any views then I'll maybe make a better video. And it's about BLAVOR's 20,000 milliamp hour power bank and solar charger. Say every 3 years or something I maybe buy something solar charging to see if they've improved, because so far I've not found any that really are up to a standard, even a basic standard, like you could charge your phone from the solar. And I'm afraid I'm still disappointed even with this, with 5 panels. Although to be fair, I mean it's 20,000 milliamps, I would say it's far too big a power bank. I mean a mobile phone maybe takes 5,000 milliamp hours at the moment, maybe 4,000 milliamp hours even, like Apple. But I mean I had a Moto G that had 5,000. My current phone's 4,000. So that's like, this could charge it about 4 times, or 5 times for the 4,000. You know, it's just, I think that's too big, you know, because it's quite heavy. I was actually going to use this around the house, even just put it on a windowsill, but I really have not found it. I think it's as good as it can get with the technology at the moment, but it's still not up to a standard where you can start, say, charging your mobile phone off it in your house. Maybe some people can. So what I'm saying is, I don't think it's practical enough yet, but I might be being unfair, so don't take my word for it. This one's fully charged. But I mean, even if I was to charge this with a power supply, 20,000 milliamp hours at, well, it says you can do 10 watts, but I've only been able to charge it at 5 watts. I'm sure it can do 10 watts, but that would take maybe about 24 hours, even if you were using an electricity supply. Don't quote me on that 24 hours, but it would be long. So if it was 10 watts, it would take 12 hours with electricity supply. So imagine try to charge it via solar, where the current is much lower. So I don't know how many watts you're getting out of this. I think it's maybe like, I won't even try and quote. I would say you're getting about 0.5 watts or something, you know. But then, because it's so big, 20,000, if you've only got 2 of them alight, that would be 10,000 milliamp hours. Even one of them alight, that would be enough to charge my mobile phone, which has got quite a big battery compared to some of them. You know, I would say the standard for a mobile phone at the moment is maybe 5,000 milliamp hours. You still get a lot under that, but I'm guessing that's going to grow in the next few years. And so if you got to 10,000 milliamp hour battery for a phone, I mean that would last you like 2 days or something. Even if you were watching a lot of videos or whatever, 10,000 milliamp hours. So we're getting to that stage with phones. We've still got a bit to go with phones where you can do anything you like and still have charge for one day from one day's use. But we're not that far away now, and it might change over the next 5 years, in which case it would fit that sort of criteria. It's heavy. Weighs about nearly 600 grams. Yeah, the main reason I bought it was because of the 5 thingies. You know, I wasn't so bothered about the battery bank size. Yeah, this sort of thing connects these 4. Yeah, you slide it down, that's what you do, I think. I'll need to check that. But hang on a minute. Cut! Yeah, I was pulling that, but you actually go like that and it just disconnects. It's just magnetic. It's great the way it's actually thinking. When you pull it, it's solid, I can't move it. But when I go like that, pull it, take it down, it just things away. And I presume this is the sort of a safety catch thing. Yeah, I can't take it out now. I'll take a look at the panel on that. Yeah, you go like that to find out how much you've got left. This stays on for about 15 seconds or something. If I hold it down all the time, it does a flashlight, which I'm not bothered about, but I don't know if that'll be maybe camping or something, hiking. God, I'm not sure what that's for. It's a poor quality review, guys. Take it in that spirit. The USBs. That's quite a nice covering there. So they've got Type A, the old-fashioned type, the oldest type. Type C, that's good to see, that's the newest type. And they've got in, and that's Type B. And they've got another, so they've got two outputs, which are Type A, the big type. I suppose the only thing I'm wondering is, can you charge it with Type C as well? Because that's the way we're going to go. You know, this is the current one, but it's going out, it's archaic now. It should have been gone a few years ago, but everyone's still, a lot of people are still using it. Not for mobile phones now so much. The Type C is the way. So I hope you can do Type C in as well as Type B. It doesn't really matter as long as you've got a Type B thing, mate. That's quite a decent covering there. Okay, let's look at the stats. This is model PN-W09. So I'll look at the input first. It says it can do 5 volts, 2.1 amps, which is watts is power, watts is volts times amps. So 10.1 watts it says it can do. But to get that, you've got to have the right charger that can do 10 watts and the cable, right cable as well. Because you can have a 10 watt charger and a 5 watt cable. It'll only charge at 5 watts because the cable's the weak point. I think if I've charged this, I've got a cable that can do that, but I've not actually checked. I should check. But if it doesn't do 10 watts, it'll go to the minimum, which is 5 watts, 5 volts, 1 amp. And that's the typical thing that people are charging things at. A lot of people think that they're charging things at 10 watts, 20 watts, 30 watts. But actually the charger or our cable can only do 5 watts. So they're actually charging it at 5 watts. And that is the typical thing. If you buy something USB, a plug or something, it'll probably be set for 5 watts. 5 volts, 1 amp. Yeah. So check out for that for your input, because if you could do this at 10 watts, it should charge in, say, half the time. In output USB, you're only getting 5 volts, 1 amp, no matter what. So it doesn't matter how good your mobile phone is, this will only charge it 5 volts, 1 amp, which is 5 watts, which is the typical standard that we're all used to, the basic default. Wireless output, that's 5 volt, 1 amp, do that, because it's got a QI thing. So you can put your phone there if it's QI enabled. I wonder if you can charge it that way as well, I don't know. And let's look at the output. Just forget what I've just been saying, because the output, you can get 10 watts with USB 2. That's probably the Type C one. So you can get 10 watts out of that. That's pretty good. I mean, this seems like quality anyway. It's just, I don't think the tech's there yet for the solar. And I think it's nicely, it seems nice thingy. take this off again. I don't know how that's, it looks as if it just actually, even though it just clips into place, it's magnetic. It does hold it really well. Although I've seen people, it's meant to be designed for hikers, you know, got it in the back of their rucksack. Don't know, feels okay to me, but I'm just using it in the house. So I never really have to. I'm just going to weigh this on its own. 359 grams. 212 grams. I suppose it's a pity you can take just maybe 2 of these or whatever. But to me anyway, the technology for solar just isn't there yet, or from what I've seen. So it doesn't, in realistic practical things, I just don't find it. I could be wrong, remember. If you're judging everything on my opinion, you're in serious trouble. Very nice quality and all that. I know they all do this, but it's not enough information. You really need numbers. You know, you need volts, amp, you need to know. I've got one of these which I recommend getting, but there's no current coming through it, so it's only telling me the voltage. And that's what I'd expect anyway, 5 volts. 5 volts. It's only got a type A connection, so I can't check type C or type B. But yeah, these things, I don't think that's enough information, because the other things, it can vary, you know, it depends on lumens and light, how much solar's going on it. It depends where you are, whether, because if you put it in a windowsill, that won't get the same light all day, and you really want direct light on these things. So maybe for hiking and stuff it would be better, but yeah, for in the house, I think I saw a video of another guy who, he tried it on his windowsill to see how long it'd take to charge, and I think it took 28 days, and that was in a nice area of America, though. It looked like it had a lot of sun. So, I mean, with it being 20,000 milliamp hours, though, I mean, you only really need to charge up to 1 or 2 dots to get a really good, to charge up your mobile phone. So this is June 22 and it's £57 on Amazon. It seems to be only on sale on Amazon from what I've seen. That's BLAVOR. I would check eBay, but yeah, £57, that's about $80 or something. So it's really expensive. If it done everything I wanted it to do, I would still buy it, but the tech just isn't there yet. I don't think either the tech's not there, or it's too expensive, or it just doesn't go to a level that I would hope for as a minimum, you know. Well, as a minimum it does, but to my satisfaction it's only getting to like 20% level or 30%. Maybe I'm expecting too much. I mean, it's good that it can do 10 watts, because normally typical ones can only do 5 watts. So 10 watts, that should take half the time to charge your phone or whatever from a typical USB socket, which are usually 5 watts. So it's good that it's got that. It's still, the solars just can't get enough current through, I think. And I think really this is not enough information. There's that green dot. I think that means that it's, no, I can't, oh, it's charging again, but yeah, the green thing means the solar's charging. So I've lost a bit, probably only slightly, but really you need numbers to know what's going on. You need volts, amps, watts. I'll get this thing to do that, but it's not. Alright guys, I'll round it up there. I do wonder how many views I'll get. If I do get a few views, I'll do a better video and I'll put it in a playlist. I suppose with the solar, it comes down to how many watts you can get it to input. I think this thing actually said 0.5 watt each, but I don't think it really can't get that in a realistic situation. Maybe if it's right out in the sun, totally in the best day of the year, that sort of thing. But if you've got in your windowsill and that, it might, I don't know, really, I think you're down at 0.5 watts or whatever, you know, most of the time. So, yeah, it's all down to how much watts you can get the solar from the solar panels. Watts equals power. There you go. You're wanting like 5 watts minimum, really, to be realistic, to get to the same level as your USB socket that isn't a fast charge. That's what they do. 5 volts, 1 amp equals 5 watts. So, and it looks like solar, you just can't get there yet with these sort of things, but this one is maybe 2.5 watts. You're getting the solar, but I don't think that's if I'm right about the 0.5 I've forgot. I bought this around January 22, so they might even have moved on to a newer version, I don't know, but or there might be new things, but I would say rather than the amount of storage, I would go for lower storage, say 10,000 milliamp hours, and as fast as solar watt, as much solar watt as you can get. But I don't know if the market's got one that's still up to the minimum standards from an electricity supply. 5 volts, 1 amp, 5 watts. One last point, it looks like it was a bit on sale at around about £36 on the special internet days around about Christmas. You know, the 2 internet sale days. So look out for these sort of things maybe on the Amazon special sale days, because you might get a big bargain. Another thing you remember is it's a power bank, so I mean it's a 20,000 milliamp hour power bank, which is very big, so you can just use it for that around the house and forget about the solar. Just charge it, you know, with your power supply and use it like that. I mean, 20,000 milliamp hours, that's actually 20 amp hours. I don't know why they use milliamp. 20 amp hours. That's a lot, you know. As I said, it could probably do 4 mobile phones, and with this you can do 2 at the same time, I think, because it's got 2 outputs. Remember, it's a poor quality video, guys. I can't see, I've not got my colour. I think it's good. So you could charge 2 things at the same time. So for getting the solar, you've got a really big power bank, you know. And also, I think, was the output, did it say it could do 10 watts? I think if it can do 5 volts, 2 amps on one socket, on one line, then that's twice as fast as the normal USB socket. Typical, because a typical USB electricity socket thing is 5 watts. It's usually 5 volts, 1 amp. So if this can do 5 volts, 2 amps for one thing, it would charge your phone twice as fast as a typical USB plug in an electricity supply. Yeah, it does, as I said before. That one's doing 5 volts, 2.1 amp, which really is 10 watts, 10.1 watts. So for a lot of people that's going to be twice as fast as they're plugging into their electricity supply, because their USB charger might be the typical type, which is 5 volts, 1 amp, which is what that one can do. So for that you can only use, that's only for one socket, so you couldn't charge 2 things at that, because the other one only does 5 watts. But that's still pretty good, even just for that, you know, it's good. And as a power bank. Remember, for that speed, 10 watts, you need the cable to be able to do 10 watts, and also your phone needs to be capable of it as well. Most newer phones probably are capable, but you need to check, because a lot of the old phones, maybe even from 1 or 2 years ago, they'll only be at 5 watt charge capable.